all just 12-year-olds. And I'm staring at myself in the monitor. This is about just a 12-year-old.
It's a great way to start it.
I'm a 47-year-old, 12-year-old.
Oh, look at this mood lighting.
Yeah. Well, we're all fancy around here now, So, Jay Ducote.
There you go.
How you been?
Doing well, Stuart.
I think of you as kind of like the godfather of personal brands. You were a personal brand before personal brands was a thing.
I was kind of at least locally pioneer in that world.
Right.
Starting with blogging and social media when it was really only Facebook and Twitter, when it was called Twitter.
Did you see that Inside with Bo Burnham on Netflix?
I did.
During COVID?
Yeah.
What is that song he sings about? It's that Welcome to the Internet song. Come and look around. There's that line in there. It's like, before you were born, it was travel blogs and something. That's when you sort of rocked that thing.
Yeah, my food blog started in 2009.
Bite and Booze.
Yeah.
Is that still like a ongoing?
It is not. It's part of what I sold in 2015.
Okay.
And I never got that back. So the website exists. People can go to biteandbooze.com. It hasn't been updated in years.
Okay.
And it's just
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
It's a relic.
Because I like to, with respect to anyone that's watching that doesn't know who you are, like I know who you are. So let's start at the very beginning. Where were you born? Are you a local fellow? Or
born at the Old Women's Hospital here in Baton Rouge.
Now the police station.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I was born. And then second grade through high school was in Houston, Texas, suburban Houston.
What got you out there?
Dad's job, oil and gas business.
Sure.
And then, but my parents met at LSU. I was raised to be a Tiger. I was here for the first 8 years of my life. And then my grandparents all lived here. A lot of other family friends lived here. And so we were always back in Baton Rouge in the summers and at the holidays. And so it just kind of made sense to me to come back and go to LSU.
So you went to LSU?
That was 99 that I graduated high school, came back here, went to LSU, did bachelor's and master's at LSU in economics and political science.
Nice.
Master's was political science, and then I said, well, I want nothing to do with politics now. It was like I saw how the sausage was made, and I said I'd rather go make sausage. And
So you did.
Yeah, pretty much. I taught high school math and coached baseball for a couple years at Lee High School. It was the last 2 years that Lee was open as Lee.
Yep.
The second year I was there, they told us they were shutting the school down. They told us this is obviously going in a totally different direction, but it is maybe a pivotal point of my career. I got a master's degree in political science. I was teaching high school math and was the head baseball coach. And I was at an underperforming public school that they said they were going to have to shut the school down because of our failing test scores.
Right.
So the teachers and the students rallied. We picked up the test scores to where we were no longer a failing school. And then the school district says, shit. We didn't think y'all were going to do that. No, we're shutting you down anyway because we need to move Baton Rouge High there for 2 years while we renovate Baton Rouge High.
Gotcha.
Go find another job. Bye. And it was just like maybe all the political science in me is just like seeing the bureaucracy of public education was one of the worst things I've ever experienced in my life.
So what did you do when they let you go and shut down that school?
So they basically said you're on your own. Like there's jobs for you at all the other schools in the parish. It's on you to go find it.
Okay.
And at that point, I didn't study education. I wasn't a certified teacher. I was able to get in through a program because they had just a shortage of teachers, and I had a master's degree.
I had no idea you were a teacher.
Yeah. And it was 2 years, and it was before I started blogging or anything. So anyway, my plan was to do an alternative teacher certification program and find a job at a different school. And then I found out very quickly that summer that my heart wasn't in it anymore. And that I would have, if Lehigh would have stayed open, I probably would have stayed there. But when they shut that school down and it was just like, oh, go to another school and find another job.
Even all these years later,
and
it pissed you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I had built a bond with those students for a couple years, and I had we were making progress with this baseball program that I was coaching, and kind of resurrected that out of nothing, and the kids that I was close with, it was a special bond, and then it was just like, nope, take it away.
Yeah.
Go to a different school. And so anyway, I pretty quickly said, this isn't what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I dropped that, and I ended up getting a job working for the state of Louisiana doing policy research and grant writing for the Department of Health and Hospitals. This was '09. And it was right after the big market crash in '08, and there was a lot of grant money for Obama's stimulus package stuff, is what was happening then. And so I was working for the Department of Health and Hospitals. They loaned me out to a nonprofit that was the state's designated entity for all these healthcare grants, and I was working on that, and then I ended up working for them. But it was basically during that time that I was at a cubicle every day, bored out of my mind, staring at a computer screen, that I decided that I would start writing about what I had for lunch that day and posting it online, and that's what turned into my food blog.
Did you ever think you could make a living
just
eating?
No.
Just writing about food?
Yeah, I tell people now, what do you do? I eat and drink for a living. Oh, that's cool. How do I get that job? It's like, you have to create it. I
remember you were, at least that origin that I remember was connected to tailgating and stuff.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you had the big grill thing, and what was your connection to LSU and tailgating as you were building that blog?
Yeah, so the 5 years of undergrad and then 2 more years of grad school that I spent at LSU, I was really as close to a professional tailgater as you can get. It was amateur in that I wasn't making money on it, but it was my tailgate group threw some serious parties, and we did a lot of fundraising throughout the year to pay for those parties as a student-run tailgate group. Oh yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, we did all sorts of stuff. We had merchandise that we hats and T-shirts and koozies and cups and all sorts of stuff. We threw a few annual fundraising parties throughout the year outside of football season to put. And at that point, it was just to put a few $1,000s in the bank so that we had a few $1,000s when football season came around to buy kegs of beer and tents and tables and to keep a generator running.
I've heard it said that LSU is considered to be a party school to some degree, but that's next level, man. That you're actually fundraising ready for tailgating season. That's
we had 2 vans that were painted purple and gold tiger stripes. One was a big cargo van that we had we kept a generator in, and we cut a big hole in the side of it to vent out the generator, and then we also kept a beer keg inside that van, and the tap was right on the side of the van. Like, you just walk up to the side of the van and there was a beer tap mounted.
As it should be, it should be. By the way, sidebar, best margarita I ever had was at an LSU tailgate.
Really?
Yeah, there's some contraption this guy had invented, and it was like, it was great. It was awesome.
That sounds like LSU tailgating, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say learned how to cook at LSU tailgate parties.
Really?
That was the first time I was ever really like in charge of a grill, or where my cousin taught me how to cook in a big cast iron pot and do gumbos and jambalayas and red beans and dishes like that, and
do it right,
and outdoor deep fryers and like that. I learned a lot of the early stages of cooking, or just trial by error, just go do it. Right. At tailgate parties.
And so you had a couple of years of that under your belt before you found yourself in a cubicle deciding to write a blog about what you ate.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, cool. So how long before you started just writing this blog before it became a thing, whatever a thing was for you back then?
It was probably about a year into it. Certainly for the first year, it was just a hobby. I didn't know who was reading it. I didn't really care who was reading it. I was doing it more as my personal online food journal, so I could, keep in mind, I was working downtown Baton Rouge. Yeah. This is 2009 into 2010. I was bored, sitting in a cubicle. My relief, and I'm sure a lot of people that have boring cubicle jobs can relate to this, like my relief for the day was going somewhere for lunch. and I would most of the time walk somewhere downtown, up and down 3rd Street or wherever. And so I was just kind of keeping track of where I went so that I could remember what I had. And, I mean, it was really more of that, like just an online food journal.
Yeah.
So that next time I go, I'll look back and see what I ate, and I'll get something different this time, or whatever the case is. And man, you can scroll back on all that biteandbooze.com. Like the pictures that I was posting in 2010, 2011 were horrible.
Did Apple iPhones have cameras back then?
It was the beginning of
Okay.
it, but they were bad. I mean, I should not have been posting those pictures. But at the time, nobody knew any
you do it for
different
you.
unless you had a high-end digital camera or something.
Sure.
That's just what phone pictures were back then, and that's really all I ever used.
So, like, what was the first thing that happened that you're like, oh, this is a thing? Like, did someone like from the news reach out to you, or what happened? What was the?
Yeah, so 2011 was my first experience with kind of taking things to the next level, and I had entered a tailgate recipe contest that was put on by Comcast Sports South out of Atlanta, but it was an SEC wide tailgate recipe contest.
Nice.
So I had a recipe that was chosen to represent LSU.
Ooh.
And I don't know. I mean, I just found it online. It was again kind of early days of social media. They were using social media. I found it. I submitted this recipe for the blackberry bourbon bone-in Boston butt.
Sounds delicious.
And they picked my recipe. And so then they did really all fall long in 2011 online voting for to figure out the top 3, and then the top 3 were going to get invited to a live cook-off on LSU's campus. Visit Baton Rouge was part of it, and that was kind of my introduction to working with tourism and things like that. And so that fall, I did a campaign basically using my blog, using early days of Facebook and Twitter, using message boards
to win that contest.
Yeah, to win the contest, to get votes. And that was also my first time. While promoting that, some people got the word of it, and I did my first ever TV news cooking segments and things like that.
Does that still exist online anywhere?
Some of it could. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, some of it sure might.
And
2011's a long time for that to be archived, but yeah. So I ended up winning. I ended up finishing in the top 3 of the online voting, doing the live cook-off, and then winning that. And so yeah, I was the champion. I won a big green egg, and some other Tony Shastry's was a sponsor, and I won a bunch of their stuff. And
so how long before you quit the day job and got out that cubicle and started this?
Yeah, so at that time, that was all fall of 2010. So a year into blogging, that all that cook-off stuff happened. The day of the cook-off on LSU's campus, it was the LSU Ole Miss game that year. The day of the cook-off, I left after winning the cook-off before the game started. Yeah. I drove to New Orleans to attend a casting call for the TV show MasterChef. Ended up being the same day. I ended up being able to go to both. And so I drove with the big smoker made out of kegs hooked to the back of my truck, drove from Baton Rouge to New Orleans, and brought in one of those blackberry bourbon Boston butts that I had cooked for the tailgate cook-off, brought it into my MasterChef audition, and got cast on season 2 of MasterChef.
Amazing.
So that was November of 2010. We filmed that I was there for the Super Bowl at the beginning. So early 2011, got to cook for Gordon Ramsay, was in Los Angeles for 10 days, spent time on set, got to do the whole thing. I didn't move past the first round, which was a bummer, but MasterChef was like the American Idol for cooking. And in season 2, it was new, and so you cook a dish, and then they give you an apron and you move forward or you go home. But there were 100 of us in that opening round, and they gave out 30 something aprons or something. So most people got cut in that first round, and then they really start making more of a episodic TV show. But that audition round was, it was wild, and it was cool.
Tell me about that MasterChef.
It was eye-opening experience. Yeah, so
Where did you film, and what was it like just kind of going from your tailgate stuff and your blog to this boom national exposure on MasterChef?
yeah. So I had only done. I mean, I was really green at the time. I hadn't done much cooking other than tailgate parties
And again, you learned to cook
things like
at
that.
tailgates.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you're on MasterChef. Did you have like
Correct.
imposter syndrome at all? You feel like, should I do that?
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of practice and got a few lessons from some chef buddies right before I left, but I mean, I still didn't know what I was doing. And like, you had to turn in for MasterChef before we went out to Los Angeles to Hollywood. They asked, "What's your signature dish?" We had to turn in 2 different dishes, and then they picked one then they said you have to cook this one, and they're just making sure that they don't have 2 people cooking the exact same dish, that kind of stuff. So they want options. So I had to cook a herb roasted rack of venison with a Cajun shrimp and cornbread stuffed bell pepper and a bourbon cream sauce. And I think they really were adamant about the bourbon cream sauce because I was this tailgate guy, and I think they were casting me as this like Southern tailgate guy that's cooking with bourbon, and I think they kind of really wanted me to go in that direction. Of course, they didn't pull me aside and say, "Hey, if you just make the bourbon good, we're going to push you forward to the next round." But I think that the casting people clearly had something in mind.
They always do.
Yeah, they're looking for characters, but I didn't understand that nearly as much at the time. At this time, it's 2011. I was 29 years old. I had been around for a little while, but cooking wise, I was very green. It was my first big TV show. I had only done local news segments, and so you get out to Hollywood. They're putting us up in a hotel, a DoubleTree by LAX. We spent 5 or 6 days not leaving the hotel while they're waiting for everybody to fly in from around the country and go through early casting interviews and meet with producers, and they're keeping us all separated so we don't know each other. And then the day comes that they bring us to the set, and it's just that we're in. I don't know exactly where we were. It was somewhere kind of outside of LA. Couldn't tell you exactly, but it was just big warehouses.
Yeah.
It was just big, it was like airplane hangar size warehouses that they had turned into this MasterChef set. And we're in there, and they're just like, they line us up and they get us all situated, and then they start rolling cameras, and Gordon Ramsay and the other judges walk out.
You do the show.
And like they're filming our reactions. To their credit, the hosts like said their lines once and left, and they were like, "Okay, got it."
So there was no like personal moment with Gordon Ramsay or anything on that first go round. Okay, cool.
Not at the beginning, and then they started the first round for the 100 of us to cook our signature dishes. That took 4 days of shooting, and I cooked on day 3. So day 1, I just sat there and watched. Day 2, I sat there and watched. Other than they took everybody that was cooking on day 3 to the grocery store to buy our ingredients for the next day.
Just a full-on dog and pony.
Yeah, and so then I was cooking on day 3, and I cooked right before lunch, and you have an hour to basically prep your dish, cook it to where it's pretty close to ready. Then you have to put everything on a cart, and then you wait your turn to go in to present it to the judges, and you have like 5 minutes in front of the judges with the cameras rolling to reheat your dish and to plate it and to finish it. So that's a challenge in itself. It's just a different way of cooking, a different temperatures and timing of everything that when you're not used to doing this. I mean, I was lost on that kind of stuff. I didn't put any forethought into how am I going to have this dish be
sure
good.
They teach that at culinary school or something like that. But
Yeah.
you're just figuring it out.
You just have to have experience doing it. You just have to have done enough cooking demos and know how to get a dish to where, okay, now on a TV news segment or in front of people.
Whenever you watch morning news or something and they have those 3-minute segments at the end of the hour where a chef comes on and cooks something.
Yeah.
I always wonder when I see the host eat that, they do the tasting at the end, because it is a rare chef indeed that can cook anything within that 3 minutes that's worth eating.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'm pretty sure that's raw. Anyway, so you went through that
Yeah,
whole experience.
that's right.
And you didn't make it past the first round in MasterChef #1, right?
That's correct. I did
So,
not.
okay. So what did you do? You came back from that experience, and then what happened next? Like,
Yeah,
because it's within a year, right? You went from blogging to like,
yeah, this is a year and a half into the blog at this point, and now I've done MasterChef and have had a few other things. It was at that time that that Guaranteed Broadcasting announced that they were changing the format of 107.3 FM to an all talk local news talk radio station. It was like a country oldie station before that. And they basically put out an announcement saying that they were looking for non-political local talk content for the weekends.
Okay.
And so I reached out to them blindly. It was after I had filmed MasterChef, but before it had aired. And I just reached out to them and said, here's some tailgate videos. Here's my blog. Here's what I do in the food and drink world. I've got a big TV show coming soon that I can't really tell you about. It's not like I was on it much or it meant anything, but I was just like, I think it would be cool to do a local food and drink show on the weekends.
I used to listen to it.
They hit me right back up. I mean, immediately got a note from Gordy Rush, and I was just like, come in and meet with us. And they gave me that opportunity to do the Bite and Booze radio show. Yeah. And so I was doing that summer of 2011. I was doing the blog and the radio show and still had my day job with the cubicle and stuff. But at about 2 years into the blog, it was just getting to the point where I was busy with it. I was busy with the blog and opportunities that were coming my way with it and social media stuff and the radio show and trying to figure all that out. And especially with the radio, I started to have a little bit of revenue because the whole thing about the radio.
You had partnerships. Was it Calandros?
Yeah, Calandros was my big sponsor from the beginning. And Calandros basically paid for my airtime. Sure. And then any sponsors that I got on top of that were money in my pocket. Yeah. And so it started to actually turn into something. And I was packaging the blog and the radio show and social media all together.
It was literally, it was the seed of an empire. Is what it felt like. You were doing a great job. It was awesome. I used to listen to your show. So
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. So all that was coming together, and I was starting to make money, and I was just kind of looking at it, and I said, I'm not doing this day job any justice. Like they should fire me. Thankfully, they hadn't fired me, but they should have. But I'm not enjoying it. I don't want to go to work. I sit there and I work on my blog and stuff all day, and because that's clearly what I'd rather be doing.
I love real life is so much more interesting than fiction, man.
And maybe I'm exaggerating almost in that favor a little bit because I obviously was doing my job and things, but like. But I didn't want to be. I wanted to be focused on all this other stuff, and I wanted the loss on MasterChef made me say, I want to do this. I want these TV opportunities. I want these cooking opportunities, but I know I need to be a better chef. And so I really kind of dedicated myself to blogging a lot more about things that I cooked instead of about just restaurant food all the time. So, I mean, it was both, but it was intentionally cooking and doing like the recipe style food blogging, where I'm cooking and I'm making myself cook things and take pictures of things that I cooked.
And were you getting instruction at all, or were you just kind of feeling your way through
No,
that?
I mean, that was very self-taught. Other food blogs, YouTube videos, things like that. I watched a lot of Food Network shows and Anthony Bourdain style shows and got inspiration from that kind of stuff. And just a lot of like watching Emeril or watching any of those kind of Food Network shows.
How did you get to brisket? I remember you were cooking briskets in your yard or something en masse,
so that really didn't start until COVID.
Okay.
So fast forward a little bit for that, but I was doing a lot of barbecue all the time. That kind of felt right in with the tailgate cooking and that blackberry bourbon Boston butt. That was all smoked pork. That was barbecue, and I've always just done a lot of like barbecue style cooking. I think I got a lot of that, picked up a lot of that from my time growing up in Texas, and then tailgating. So the briskets came along a little bit later, but So by the end of 2011, I had quit my day job. I quit the grant writing job and all that. I was completely on my own. All of 2012, all of 2013, I was totally on my own and working solo. And then it had really gotten to the point by 2014 that I couldn't even keep up with everything that I had built on my own, and I had to hire an employee. You remember Blair that worked for me?
I do remember Blair.
So I hired Blair in 2014 just to help me keep up with the blog and social media and growing everything and be more than an administrative assistant, but you know, like that role and a lot more. Just somebody to help. And I was doing more pop-up dinners and little private dinners and cooking gigs. Less at that time. It was a lot more on the media side at that time. More of my revenue now comes from cooking. Back then, it was way more on the media side and blogging and radio and food events were just, you know, fun kind of or an opportunity to test something out. But 2015 is when I got cast on Food Network Star.
Okay.
And that was really the thing that catapulted me more than anything else. Because after MasterChef, I had kind of circled Food Network Star as like, this is the show that I really should do. Yeah. This is the one I'd be good at. It was Food Network's big reality show that the whole point is to find the next Food Network star, the person that can have their own show on Food Network. Yeah. Guy Fieri came from that. He won season 2 of that show and has built his empire from that. There's been a lot of other success stories, a lot of other people that won that show and then didn't really do anything. But I kind of marked that as like, that's the show I really should be doing.
And then what year did you land that opportunity?
2015. So really the casting was all 2014 and then we filmed it and it aired 2015.
Cool. How'd you do?
Finished runner up. Should have won.
Tell me about why. What happened? What went down?
I think I was the only contestant in the history of that show to never be up for elimination the entire season.
Really?
I was never on the bottom. I was never on the losing team. I was never up for elimination the entire show. I was always safe every episode. I was consistent. I had a solid point of view, which was just me. It was me as a Louisiana guy that grew up hunting and fishing and that learned how to cook, throwing tailgate parties. Like that was my brand. Story. That was my MO. That's the kind of food that I cooked. That's the kind of story that I told. I think I did a great job throughout the whole season of listening to the judges and which was Bobby Flay and Giada and then other guest judges that were Food Network celebrities. But I really, you know, I crushed that season. It's on HBO Max, and might be on some other platforms as well. But like, if you've got HBO Max, you can go find season 11 of Food Network Star, and you can go back and watch the whole thing.
Cool.
And I think you'll kind of see that like I dominated the whole season. And
so what happened at the end?
And then at the end, they named a guy named Eddie Jackson, who was a former college and NFL football player with a like more chiseled physique than I have. Mm-hmm. They named him the winner, and that was just their decision. But the backstory there is, or the additional details that you don't see on TV, is the winner was locked into a contract with the production company of that show, of the TV show Food Network Star was produced by a company that the winner of the show was locked into a contract with them to produce their next show. They had a show in mind for me, they as in like the execs at the network. They had a show in mind for me that had been pitched for a while that they couldn't find a host for. And they saw me and they were like, that's our host for this show called Deep Fried America. And so in order for me to host Deep Fried America with a different production company, I couldn't win Food Network Star.
Politics.
Yeah. But of course they don't like come out and say, like, I wish they could have come out and pulled me aside ahead of time and been like, hey Jay, like, this is what we're going to do with you. let's sign a contract now for that. And then, you know, this is why you're not going to win. And then I think they were thinking, then we get Eddie to win the show and give him that boost. And then we still do these shows with Jay. And so they obviously don't tell me any of that ahead of time. I just lose and I'm depressed. And then the season airs. And then after it airs, they reach out and they're like, hey, we actually want you to do this show. We're going to have you film a pilot in Austin. And blah, blah, blah. So I did that. And then this is like late 2015, the, Food Network has always been part of other things, but Scripps and then Discovery bought them and blah, 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 blah. They went through a big transition of executive leadership, like during this run for me. I mean, it was just bad timing.
Changed.
It was politics. It was corporate stuff. It was bad timing. Yeah. The head of Food Network programming and head of marketing, Bob Tushman and Susie Fogelson, who were on that season of Food Network Star, like right after that, they got canned from Food Network. They brought in some execs from the Travel Channel to take over Food Network. They took there were higher ups trying to make decisions. This Deep Fried America show was a show that was, the idea was to travel around the country, getting in the kitchen with chefs, doing crazy things with a deep fryer. And so we filmed the pilot for that in Austin, but the whole point was that it would be a traveling show. So they were like, oh, this is what we want to put on the Travel Channel, not Food Network.
Okay.
And so they aired the pilot basically a year after we filmed it. They aired it on Travel Channel and then decided not to pick it up for a full season.
So getting that close and going through that machine, which those networks certainly can be, what did that do to you? Like, I must have been like, what the heck?
That's a good question, Stuart. There was a lot that encouraged me to keep going and to keep pushing and to say, you know, I've got this, or I'm close, or I've got a good thing going, or I want to keep pushing in that like national spotlight direction. And then there was a lot that was just kind of gross about it and that I didn't like. And then I was just like, this isn't, you know, if I really wanted to pursue that game, the answer is I had to move to New York and I had to overpay for an agent or something. And everything that I had gotten up until that point, all the way up to finishing runner-up on Food Network Star and having a pilot for my own show air on Travel Channel, I had gotten without an agent, without anybody helping me, and without owing anybody anything. And I, you know, maybe life would be a lot different now. Doesn't mean better or worse, just different. Sure. If I would have said, no, that I want to pursue that, let me move to New York or hire an agent and really try to push in that direction. It never really made sense to me. And I felt like what I was still building here, like you kind of said, like those early days of the blog and social media was like the seeds of an empire. Like I kind of felt like I had that going here and I wanted to keep building that.
So the choice was you'd be giving that up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And or at least that's how it felt at the time. I'll
tell you that there comes I don't like people to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I was working with a guy last year. He said to me, because aside from the corporate stuff that we do, which keeps the lights on and pays the bills, we also think that we are capable of making mini-series, documentaries and stuff. So we've been doing that for about 2 years now, little projects here and there. And I hired this guy, and he comes from that world, like Amazon world. And so he's looking at what we're doing, and he's getting excited about it. And he says, so, you know, if someone does buy something you've made, what role do you want? And I went, what do you mean? What role do I want? And he said, they're a machine. Yeah. He said, you fit in but you have a role. I'm like, I don't know. So I don't have firsthand experience. We're not making stuff for Netflix yet. But the idea that I'm hearing from you is that you get to a certain point And this is how you play the game. You have to go to New York. You have to pay for the agent because they don't listen to anyone unless it's a reputable agent that's done it before. It's like they play it safe once they get so big, and that can be problematic.
Yeah, that's right.
So you came back here, and
people told me all the time, like, oh, well, you should pitch them this show or pitch them that show. It's like, man, they're not taking pitches from me.
Yeah.
They're taking pitches from the production companies that they've worked with already.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I know a few people at a few production companies now. If I really had an idea, maybe I could go to one of those production companies and say, hey, would y'all be interested in doing this with me? Yeah, at this point, and maybe there's a slight regret. I wouldn't even say, it's not like I lose any sleep over it, but like 2015 when Food Network Star aired, up through 2016 for sure, which is when the pilot for Deep Fried America aired. Like that was the hottest I've ever been nationally. That I had a little bit of buzz. I got recognized at airports. I got recognized walking through Central Park in New York. Like it was pretty cool, right? I mean, it was like very minor pseudo celebrity status. Like
it feels good.
There were strangers that knew me. And that were, I'd get looks and people, be like, you watch Food Network? Oh my God, yeah, you should have won. Maybe at that time I should have pushed a little bit harder to try to figure something out.
Maybe.
Right. And it's a very much a maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe into 2017, 2018, I could have still been riding enough of a high from that to maybe be reaching out to those people more instead of just sitting back hoping somebody comes to me. Maybe I could have been pushing a little bit more to say, let's do something. That leadership change at Food Network, I think, really hurt me. And then maybe I didn't do enough to try to build a relationship or do anything with the new leadership that came in. Maybe that's on me. That's also like, well, I wasn't in New York. What am I going to do from Baton Rouge, Louisiana? I mean, I could have maybe sent a couple more emails, but like, also, I don't actually live with regrets on any of that. It's just hindsight now looking at it. But also there were things happening. Like 2018, I was on an episode of Chopped. 2019 was on Beat Bobby Flay and beat Bobby Flay. And so like and then COVID hit, and then I have done stuff since then too. One show, Super Chef Grudge Match that I won was 2023. So yeah, like I have kept doing some shows with Food Network here and there, and I'm on casting companies, Rolodexes, and things like that. And it wouldn't surprise me if I end up doing something else at some point. Now that's not the same as having my own show that I'm the host of, but that's okay too.
What are you doing now? Because last I heard it was travel culinary something. What is it? How are you applying your passion for food these days?
Good question. I'm just living life, man. It's great. I'm actually right now, I would say I'm more free and in a lot of ways happier than ever.
Good.
Life is good, and I think I'm getting to take advantage of a lot of the hard work that I did put in. And I still work, but I don't. And when I work hard, but I don't have to work all the time.
What is what are you applying yourself to? You said
So thanks. So most of that's fair. Most of my revenue is coming from chef work, private chef, catering,
cool,
pop-up dinners, things like that. Chef for hire. You want a memorable birthday experience, anniversary experience.
I bet it is.
You want a big, you want a corporate barbecue, something like that. Call me. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't even really advertise it. It just kind of promotes itself. I stay busy enough. I cater tailgate parties. I cater backyard barbecues. I can do it at my house. I can go to other people's houses. I just this past week did a birthday party, a 5-course wine dinner for 12. That was at my house. I go to other people's houses as well. Next week, I've got a 50-person event in New Orleans that I'm catering. So it's
rather than being a national celebrity and being told what to do by a network, you're in control of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You still loving it?
Very much in control. Yeah, I am.
Still loving food after all these years?
Yes, I'm still loving food and the food world and where food has brought me and getting to do things with food. Well, I like cooking for people when I get to cook for people. I don't cook for myself really. And I think that's a lot of people, right? Like it's hard to cook for one.
Yeah.
If I'm cooking for a date, that's great. Or if I'm getting paid to cook, that's great. Or if it's just a bunch of friends, but even then it's, I think there maybe it's always been there, but as I've turned food into the career, like cooking was one of the things that I had to put my foot down pretty early. That like, I'll do a lot of things for free. I'll make appearances. I'll show up. I'll give a speech. I'll do this. But like, if the second you're asking me to cook, I've got to get paid.
Yeah, it's your work.
And I think that has maybe detrimentally kind of stuck with me as like I don't cook unless I'm getting paid.
Sure.
And so, like, now I don't even cook for fun unless I'm getting,
it makes sense. One of my first jobs was, I was in fantastic shape. I was 17, 18 in England, and it was a job helping a plasterer. So this guy would strip brick walls down in the interior of houses, and he would finish them like they were marble with like this beautiful stuff. Well, I was the guy that mixed the cement and carried things in. And anyway, this guy could take a doorway and just take it out and arch it. The way his work was amazing.
Yeah.
And after a couple of months of working for him, I went to his house, and his house was a pigsty.
Yeah.
I was like, dude. And he's like, it's the last thing I want to do when I come home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I don't take pictures of my kids.
Yeah.
So, all right. So
makes sense.
That's fantastic, man. What a what a journey, man. What a journey.
It has been through selling companies and radio, the restaurant Government Taco that I had for a while.
I mean,
that's,
do you want to? I mean, this is one more thing.
So I did a restaurant in a food hall and then a brick and mortar. A lot of that was during the height of COVID. I also sold it halfway through and then worked for a company. I don't want to do that again. I'll say this. I don't want to have a restaurant again.
I was going to say that makes sense for you to end up there, and the tacos were excellent. The marketing was really good as well, but it just wasn't your jam to be a restaurateur type.
I liked it a lot more when I was in charge.
Okay.
After I sold it, it got trickier because I wasn't the final decision maker anymore, but I was still working for the company that I sold it to. Which I think kind of like you just said, I just don't think I want to do that. It doesn't interest me to work for somebody else. I hope
entirely.
I can go the rest of my life without ever having to take a real job again.
They said there's a saying that entrepreneurs are a special breed. They'd rather work 80 hours for themselves than 40 hours for somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though.
My son is my eldest son. He's 16, so he's talking about like going and waitering stuff. So I'm interested in your perspective, having experienced that journey, which objectively is awesome and unique, and I bet you learn a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Here we are in 2026. And it seems like every business, every individual wants to be a personal brand. They want to build themselves on Instagram and Facebook. How do you look at the landscape of like social media? Are you on social media? Do you use it? How do you use it? And what advice would you give to like a 16-year-old that wants to be a YouTuber?
Yeah. A lot to unpack there. I'm not the person to talk to about being a YouTuber. I have a YouTube account and a channel, and I've posted a bunch of stuff to it, but I've never tried to figure out the algorithms successfully. My success on that kind of stuff was those, the early days being first to market,
competitions,
and blogging and
sidebar. Are you still selling your barbecue sauces?
No, that's gone. That's gone as well. Cool. Yeah, thanks for asking. I'll get back to your question in just a sec. In 2019, I sold Government Taco, the restaurant. the JD's product line and Bite and Booze as a blog and radio show to the radio station that I was with.
Understood.
I took all of my companies and put it under their umbrella.
Now, that was the phase where they were doing a big push into digital because they realized that's where the advertising dollars were flowing to. And I think that's when they got Gatorworks as well.
They got Gatorworks like a year before they bought me.
They were pushing. So you were like a brand. They wanted to, an influencer brand.
That's correct.
Okay,
they were looking at me as a brand to bring under their umbrella for content sponsorship, but then also to say, hey, we've got this media empire that we could put behind the product line and the restaurant. All the intentions were good. I feel 100% that they were doing everything with the best intentions, and I was selling to them with the best of intentions to try to grow everything together, for them to put some oomph behind me on the radio side, and then also on a lot of other digital stuff. And
I don't need details about that.
Brands,
some things work out, some things don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, in 6 months after I sold to them, COVID hit. And they had bought a restaurant, and they had bought, a culinary product line that we couldn't go out and really do any cooking demos or anything for. And also they had a radio empire to worry about crumbling during the early stages of COVID, and their attention wasn't really on
the world
my
shifted.
stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I stuck with it. I walked away from them at the end of 2022. So ran stuff under their umbrella then, but when I walked away, it was kind of me walking away from Government Taco and the JD's product line and the Bite and Booze brand. I just it was theirs.
Yeah.
I walked away as in it's not mine anymore. So I definitely still use social media. All the Jay Ducote accounts. I don't use Twitter. I have Facebook and Instagram primarily, a little bit of TikTok. But just at Jay Ducote on Instagram is probably the best one to look at. And then I have a Jay Ducote travel page, and I have a cocktail page on Instagram that I'm trying to post to some. Probably not doing as good of a job with any of that as I could be. It's trying to tell a story, but I don't overthink it. My main Instagram account has a little over 20,000 followers, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it's also not enough to make me it's a very nano influencer in this day and age.
What was that? I forget when it was along the way, but you had and again, the trend with you is, I'm interested in this. And you just start generating content surrounding an interest. Because there was a period where you did some stuff at breweries. You took like a deep dive in local breweries and stuff.
Yeah.
That was some cool stuff. How'd that come about? I guess you were just interested in craft
beers.
beers.
Well, that was just part of the Bite and Booze thing. And a big part of Bite and Booze was supporting our local breweries. And it was when the craft beer movement was really accelerating, and there was a lot of buzz behind it. And I was pretty early to be friends with all the brewery owners, and I was somebody out there covering them, and I had a following on the blog and the radio and the social media accounts for Bite and Booze and for my personal accounts that were, pushing Drink Local and being an ally to them. And then it was also when I was starting to do a lot of cooking and pop-up dinners, and breweries, before they had kitchens attached to them or anything, were a great place for me to do pop-ups, because I could do beer dinners or just sling food outside a brewery, and it was successful.
How much of, when you look back on, what is it? It's got to be, 15, 20 years, 18 years, something. It's a long time. How much of what transpired for you was push and how much was pull? How much was you because the contest, you had to enter that thing. So you reached out and grabbed that.
Early days, push. I mean, 100%. Very little just came to me, and if it did, it was because I positioned myself correctly, which was still push in that way. I think now I get to enjoy the benefits of having built the brand, and people know my name, and in Baton Rouge I still get to walk around as a local celebrity of sorts. I think it is part of my job right now is to try to keep that going and keep that up. because if my name really just fades away in the local community, then people aren't going to pay for me to cook their private dinner or something like that. So I do have to kind of do some stuff to keep my name out there locally, and I think that's probably what I use social media for in a lot of ways, is to stay relevant, at least with the people that follow me already. And there's probably more that I could be doing. Even like doing this podcast is, I think, important for me to be doing things like that to stay active and to have content and to try to reach other people that maybe don't know my story. Because it's a very unique
it sure as hell is
world that I've built for myself.
Yeah, when people think food, like especially in this part of the country, it's New Orleans, and Baton Rouge has a really unique food scene. It's really good here. The food is amazing, but you fit into that puzzle in a unique way. Yeah, and I really respect that. It's 2 parts hustle and it's 2 parts talent. Let's go with that.
and then maybe 1 part luck or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Or where it is, it's pull instead of push. It's I'm casting my net just by being me, and then people come to me saying, "Hey, can you do this? Can you speak at this thing? Can you do this thing?" So one of the other big things that I'm doing right now is hosting a fishing and cooking TV show.
Hell yeah, dude.
So that's with the Louisiana Charter Boat Association and some other friends of mine that we're working on the 3rd full season this spring.
Amazing.
It airs on Waypoint TV nationwide on any streaming Roku or a Samsung Smart TV or an Apple TV. You can find Waypoint TV, and it's also on Mossy Oak, the camouflage clothing brand. Mossy Oak's the main sponsor, and it's on their YouTube channel, so you can watch it anytime. Just find the Mossy Oak YouTube channel, and it's on a playlist. It's Louisiana Catch and Cook, and so I'm the host and chef of the show, where we go out fishing with Louisiana charter boat captains, and then we bring it back to a fishing camp and we cook what we catch.
Nice.
And we explore other Louisiana food throughout the episode, and we've done, we'll cook other Louisiana seafood or other things in the show as well. And so that's been a fun project to be a part of, and it's a piece of what I do, and that's kind of where, like, everything is just a piece of what I do, but I'm getting to do it and I'm getting to call my shots. So it's not like I'm not just a chef and all I do for a living is cook.
It just makes me smile, man. I'm a big believer in who was it that said it's the harder you work, the luckier you get. And now I'm almost 50. I'm like, a lot of people coming along talking about social. I'm like, I know a guy. He did this before it was a thing.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time today, man. It's been just fantastic. Yeah. So much I didn't know, and I lived it.
Yeah.
As a spectator.
Oh, you've been around the whole time.
Yeah. So
I mean, from those early blackberry bourbon Boston butt days, you were around. Well, tangentially, one way or another, we crossed paths plenty of times.
Well, listen, don't be a stranger, right? I'll check out your show, and I'll go pull you up on HBO and reminisce for an evening one day with the missus.
There you go.
I appreciate it.
Make it happen.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Stuart.
Good stuff.
Yeah.